Hello Internet, so nice to see you. Let's say you are a rock or metal player and you're writing most of your songs using power chords. Which is great, but after a while the sound of power chord may start to sound a bit bland. After all, many of the bands you may listen to use way more than power chord to create their sound. So what can you do to make your songs sound better? What notes, what extension, what other things can you add to your power chords to make them sound more interesting, to get a modern sound, okay? I'm not talking about classical harmony or counterpoint. I'm not even talking about jazz harmony. I'm talking about something that works in your style, in a rock or metal style. Well, that's exactly the question that one of my students asked me. And this is the answer I gave him. Grab your guitar, follow along, and have fun.
I'm playing a band which is pretty straightforward. You know, there's a riff, then there's a chorus, which usually uses simple chord progressions. And I don't want to be guilty of playing the same old power chords all the time. So I'm always looking for new ways to play those simple, memorable melodies and chord progressions while doing something that someone like you would enjoy.
Good. So the first thing is, if you know in what scale you are, or in what key you are, every note is game, okay? So, you are in A minor, say, and you have a nice A power chord, okay? Any note in the A minor scale can be added to this power chord. Not all them sound great by themselves, but they may sound interesting. So, the A minor scale is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's easy, okay? So, if I add an A to an A power chord, it's still the same chord. If I add a B, I get this. You guys know this one? Okay. If I add a C, I get an A minor chord. But this kind of minor chord played this way, sorry for the extension, okay, it will sound better with distortion than the A minor chord played with all the notes compact in the same octave. Now, I don't have much distortion here, so maybe that's more. You can still hear that C note, okay? Anyway, the D note, it's the next note. The D note will sound great, so in this case you have to mute the fourth string and play the D note on the third string. You get this kind of suspended sound. The E note, well, you still get the power chord, but it can still work for flavor. The F note is the hard one to swallow, okay? Especially because it will change the chord, because now you're gonna, well, not only change the chord, but anyway. Okay, I'm playing the F note on the second string with my middle finger. Okay. You may like it or not, that's a very acquired taste. But for a moment of tension, that will work well with distortion too. Okay? The G note. The G note can be added on top, a high, or it can be added low. Because it's on the fourth string, 5th fret. Okay? You guys have heard them. I think it's War Pigs by Black Sabbath now. But I use the power chord with the 7, so the G. Okay? Make sense?
Yep.
Any note, it's fair game. For any chord. Make sense?
Okay.
So what you're gonna do is this. You need to experiment. Okay?
Yeah.
You need to I know, that's the way. You take a simple chord progression, And by the way, when I say you take a simple chord progression, I mean 2 chords. Okay, 2. Because people start like, I have this chord progression of 8 chords, and okay, and I'm digging as fast as I can, and I cannot find the bottom. Of course, 20 chords. Okay, so 2 chords, 2 chords. And you have, there are 7 notes in the scale, 2 notes in the power chord. So I have 5 options for the first chord, 5 options for the second chord. 5 times 5, it's 25. You have 25 different possible options to add extra notes to 2 power chords. Okay, if you add a third chord, you have 5 options there too. You have 5 times 5 times 5, 125 different options. If you're not scared at this point, you're not paying attention. With 4 chords, if 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, this is 625 possible options. The only way to understand all these is to play, because there is no way I can convey in speech how those 625 options will sound. Okay. Now, those are the good news in a sense. Okay, it's about good news and bad news. It's good news because you have lots of music to write there, lots of options. You're not going to run out anytime soon. And this is for 1 chord progression of 4 chords. The bad news is that, yeah, you'll have to experiment a little bit. But the good news on top of the bad news is that you don't have to play all those chord progressions, because your ear will start making sense of all these. Okay? If you do it in theory, there are combinations over combinations over combinations, and if you see it on paper, there's simply too much to make sense. But when you start hearing this stuff, it's really not that hard. Okay? Any note of the scale is fair game.
Okay.
Any note not in the scale, it's still fair game if you sandwich it between 2 notes in the scale close by. So let me qualify this statement. I'm in A minor. And my chord progression is going to be A power chord, C power chord, D power chord. I'm coming up with this right now, okay? On the C power chord, I can add a note that is not in the scale, so let's say F sharp, as long as I'm putting G on one side and F on the other side, so the 2 notes on the side. So for instance, on A minor, on A power chord, I'm adding the G. On the C power chord, I'm adding the F sharp. On the D power chord, I'm adding the F. So, power chords go A, C, D. Extra notes go G, F sharp, F. The chord progression is still in A minor. Makes sense? So you can add any chromatic note if you imagine a bridge, okay? A chromatic note is a bridge. The chromatic note is the bridge. You need to add the 2 sides of the bridge, and those 2 sides are the note just before and just after that must be in the scale. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That we support that note. And again, this seems to work pretty much all the time. Okay? If you like all that and you finally want to extract your own sound from the guitar, you want to understand how harmony works, but not to write something in the classical style or in the jazz style, which are great, by the way, but that's not the music you want to do. If you finally want to find your own sound and understand it directly on the fretboard, then I recommend you check out my course, Complete Chord Mastery. Complete Chord Mastery, it's not a book. It's a complete video course that takes you from the basics up. We do everything you need to know about harmony and chords on your guitar. All the theory is done straight on the fretboard. There is no theory for the sake of theory here. Everything is immediately practical, and everything is developed through exercises, so you know how to apply these immediately on your guitar. If you have just a minute, click on the link on the top right to check out Complete Chord Mastery. If you like this video, smash on that like button and don't forget to subscribe and click on notification, otherwise YouTube will not let you know when I put up a new video. And if you have any comment, feedback, suggestions, write them down in the comment. I enjoy reading from you and I make videos on your suggestions. This is Tommaso Zillia of musictheoryforguitar.com, and until next time, enjoy!